All right, welcome to this conversation. I'm Faye D'souza. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Terrible story coming out of Bangalore yesterday. We've had issues of waterlogging in Bangalore now for several years, but it's now claiming lives. And this is something we need to take a closer look at. For those of you who don't know what happened, a 22-year-old young woman drowned in Bangalore on Sunday in a car she was traveling in with her family because it got stuck in water. The car got stuck in water at KR Circle underpass. Now, fire and emergency services personnel saved the five others, including the driver in the car, but they weren't able to save this young woman. The chief minister has offered 5 lakh rupees to the relatives of the dead person. I don't understand how that compensates, and free treatment for those admitted in the hospital. Now, the eyewitnesses have said that the underpass filled with water after it rained in Bangalore on Sunday. There were heavy rains. The driver did not pay heed to the police that was diverting traffic. He attempted to drive through that water, and the car stalled, as it does when you drive through water, and it got submerged. The occupants of the vehicle, most of them managed to come out and get onto the roof of the car from where they were rescued, but this young woman was not rescued on time, or she wasn't able to get out of the car on time. There were other things that happened. An auto rickshaw was trapped in KR Circle as well. A woman passenger managed to save her life by climbing on the roof of the auto rickshaw. And in Mahalakshmi layout, water gushed into houses, damaging furniture and electronic goods and stored food grains. This has happened before. Bangalore does have an issue of waterlogging right now. There is a lot of construction that has come in the way of urban planning. But the question that we're asking right now, consider this, right? For a city, for any city, and a city as big as Bangalore, if in a summer rain can kill people in an underpass, it means that the city is not prepared for the monsoons at all, and it has not learned from its past mistakes, and that is a serious problem. Joining me right now to have a conversation about this is Dr. T.V. Ramachandra, coordinator of Energy and Wetlands Research Group. He joins us from the Indian Institute of Science. He's an urban development, specialist, and we've had several conversations with him in the past about the lakes and the manner in which this is being tackled. Tara Krishnaswamy is a co-founder of Political Shakti and Citizens of Bangalore. She's a very active citizen in how the city of Bengaluru is managed. I welcome both of you to this conversation. Professor Dr. T.V. Ramachandra, if I may start with you. We've talked about Bangalore being built against the water having no place to run through in the city and things like that. But if we talk about this one particular instance that has really shaken people up, who's responsible? What went wrong, in your opinion?
Well, I would say that bureaucracy has failed miserably. We have been talking about the Bangalore problem not today, the last 2 decades. The Bangalore being an undulated terrain. Earlier the river or stream passing through the terrain, our elders have converted that into a lake. They just put the bund at regular interval, and that's how we had the series of lakes. Today, the interconnectivity among the lakes are lost. Had we retained the interconnectivity, probably we would have addressed all these problems. Every time when the flooding happens, the government announces, 1,500 crore, 1,300 crore for remodeling the drain. It is nothing but a waste of money. In the name of remodeling, the bureaucracy, the BBMP is just narrowing the drain and concretizing the drain. It is against the, hydrological principle. I have not seen the people making the drain concrete. It becomes an impervious layer. It does not allow the water to percolate. In the process, you will have a large amount of water on the overland. Coupled with this, we have the problem of changes in climate. Climate change is real because of the global warming, and we have erratic rainfall. And today, the intensity of rainfall has increased. If you look at the last 10-year statistic, you see the intensity of rainfall. That means the quantum of rain in a shorter duration. You have higher quantum of rainwater in the shorter duration. That's where the flooding happens. And all these underpasses and flyovers and magic boxes, these are all the for making money. It is not to solve the problem of the city. Unfortunately, wherever these underpasses are created, it has become the water stagnation happens. That means in a city which is supposed to be a knowledge capital, where all the experts are there, but still because of the poor implementation of the thing, we see this kind of gaps in the system. I would say that we need to make the bureaucracy accountable. We have to make the BBMP engineers accountable. Why are we not questioning the BBMP stormwater drain chief engineer, who has been doing this, in the name of remodeling? I am involved in the NGT of KC Valley, where the NGT said that remodeling and concretizing drain should not happen. But the BBMP says that is only for KC Valley, not for other this one. That means for every this one, they will find avenue to make money. Per kilometer of remodeling is 8 crores is spent. So that is where the pilferage is happening. It is not solving the problem of the city. First and foremost thing is the city has to be planned. Unplanned development is the root cause of the problem. If we see the large scale concretization has happened in the city over the last 4 decades, the 68% green cover in 70s. Today we have green cover less than 3%. There has been 1055% increase in the concrete area. The drains have been encroached by the builders mafia, as well as the dumping of solid waste. This waste mafia and builders mafia, along with the BBMP officials, have created a chaos in the city. If we want to address the problem, I would say let us make all these people who are involved in the process accountable. Let there be transparency in the system. What is the kind of the measures they have taken over a period of time? Just announcing the money is not the solution, but we need a solution so that this kind of instances do not happen in our city again and again. Let us put an end to that, and that's where we need to urge the government to take action, not based on the input given by this bunch of engineers at BBMP. They always want the concretization. Let us have the think tank and ask the people to give the solution, so that everyone who likes the city, who want to live in the city, will give the viable suggestions. So not just the bureaucracy or the colonial mindset bureaucracy. Okay.
That Krishnaswamy, this is quite a challenge, because what we need is political will, and we've seen successive government after government not willing to actually make this change. Because the three of us have been having this conversation now since for the better part of 6 or 7 years, and we've seen various governments come and go, but there's a complete lack of political will.
Absolutely. First of all, Bangalore doesn't have an elected BBMP and hasn't had one for 2.5 years, as you know, right? So that means that over a period of time, we have not had anyone accountable to citizens as to whether they have done their job and they continue to do their job. Nobody to go remind, no neck to choke, so to speak. Which means we're entirely reliant on an unaccountable bureaucracy. Second, and I quote the BBMP Chief Commissioner, Mr. Tushar Girinath himself, who has said that safety audits have not been conducted to identify heavy rainfall underpasses, and 18 audits have now been ordered post the unfortunate fatality of the young woman. So what are you waiting for? As we know, from time immemorial, Bangalore gets its monsoons starting the first week of January or so. And you're sitting on 20th of May, 23rd of May, and if you have not started the safety audits yet, what were you waiting for, right? Thirdly, this is not unusual. While it was heavy rainfall, every May, and a simple Google will tell you, even you Google May of 2018, there were thunderstorms. May of 2019, Bangalore received rainfall. May of 2020, 21, 22, now 23, every year in May there are thunderstorms. So when you say this was unexpected or we are unprepared, why are we unprepared? Every year we need to do this. Then you have the special commissioner who has said that the drainage system was clogged, so the water stagnated in the underpass. And Faye, you're a Bangalorean. The KR Circle underpass is hardly a stone's throw from Vidhan Sauda. You're talking about the heart of the city here, where the drains were not cleaned. And the special commissioner himself has said the drainage system was clogged with sticks, waste, and plastic items, thereby stopping the rainwater from flowing. So drains have not been cleaned. Even where audits have been conducted, they've not audited for rainwater and stagnation. So we certainly have a large portion of the responsibility. And coming to the underpass was partially barricaded by the police. It was not fully barricaded. If you have not taken the basic safety measures of audits, of cleaning of the drain, and you see heavy rainfall, why won't you just fully close the underpass so that such things don't happen? Why do you even allow people to go in? If you look at the police FIRs, the driver has said that there was an auto that had gone in and stalled, but the auto kind of said the car may be able to pass through. So why were even so many vehicles, 2 or 3 or 4 vehicles, allowed to go inside? It was fully barricaded. Nobody can go in. And lastly, police has filed FIRs against unidentified BBMP officials. Now, this itself is a significant problem. So long as the chain of command is not identified and there is no specific person to pin blame on, then you're basically, there's no fear, there's no accountability. Who is responsible for the safety of? How can you file an FIR against unidentified people? Right? Somebody needs to take responsibility and ownership for this tragedy, for this clear caveat or a gap that has happened in the administration.
In fact, the government solution now is to put a boom barrier in front of the underpass. Not so much actually figure out how to solve the flooding problem, but to keep people out of the underpass, which will only add more to confusion, add more to the traffic problems. Is that a valid solution, Dr. Ramachandra?
Well, it's not a valid this one. I would say that the government should have solved the problem in the first place. See, if you do the simple Google search, you will see these instances are happening quite often. Every year we have 1 or 2 deaths happening. The 2 years back, a young girl was killed because of the floods in the region. And last year also, there was a demolition drive, but not much progress in that. See, what we should do is, if we want to solve the problem of the city, let us they look at the drains. Let us look at the historical the size of the drain and look at the quantum of rainwater it has to carry, whether it is sufficient. And if the current the engineers have narrowed it down, we should make them accountable, and we have to restore that drain to the original size. When you look at the drain between Belandur and Agaram, the width was 80 meter as per the cadastral map. Today, if you go and measure it, it is 20 meter or 18.5 meter. Just to help the builders in the locality, the BBMP has narrowed the drain. And in the process, the Koramangala area got flooded 2 years back. And when the Koramangala got flooded, the BBMP came up with an ad hoc measure of creating one more drain parallel to the earlier drain. See, earlier drain was narrowed. In the process, there is a pilferage of the money. Then new drain was constructed. Again, there is the mismanagement of the money. See, this whole process is, every engineer wants to make money, not 40%, probably the 120% kind of a thing. That's what I noticed. See, that is where citizens have to wake up. And for that, we need to have the data available online. See, the Bangalore being a knowledge city, let us digitize all these drains. And of course, those are already available. The Karnataka State Remote Sensing Application Center have digitized the thing. Let us make it they available to the public and also to the decision maker, the bureaucrats, so that they can take a decision based on the size of the drain, what kind of measures are required. Sitting in air-conditioned room and coming with the measures will not solve the problem. Only we are wasting the public money every year. After the rain recedes, everyone forgets till the next rain. That's what is happening for the last 10 or 15 years. Now, I think we should have put an end to this whole drama of mismanagement. We need to demand the government. First, let us have a livable city. For that, the government should have the planning, and appropriate local bodies has to be there. And we should make sure thugs do not get elected as the councillors. Sometimes that is another issue. And they become a problem to us, actually, citizens. Sometimes I have faced a problem because of these so-called councillors of the region. So I think that we need to bring some kind of the reform in the election process to make sure only deserving people get into this kind of decision-making process. Otherwise, we are going to pay the heavy price. Even after the country gets the independence, 75 years, still we are talking about the city planning and all those things. All other people are talking about smart cities, whereas we have learned the smart city means only using the gadgets, not improvising the basic amenities or the infrastructure in the region. So we have to make the system smart For that, we need to do the planning. First and foremost thing, planning should happen in the city. And I would urge the government to take the stock of the situation. Let us have the think tank so that everyone can give the suggestion, not the something like vision group. The group without vision will not help. There has to
Yeah.
be a people who can devote time for this kind of the this one. That is where we need to have the planning properly. We need to have a consultative process. The input taken from the people, we need to put it into the decision maker. Then probably the city will improve. And first and another thing should happen is, why are we just congesting the city? Let us decongest the city. Why everything should be there in Bangalore? Why can't we shift it to the other places like Mysore, Raichur, or the Bidar, so that the youngster from that region get the job? So why should everything to be in Bangalore? Why can't we improve the infrastructure in those regions and shift some of these facilities to those regions? Some of the big industries we should shift it. Then probably that congestion in the city comes down and traffic problem also will come down. So that is where we need to think fresh and we need to
Right.
redesign the city that is livable city.
Tara Krishnaswamy, we have a question from Shell D who says, as a citizen, how do I get my government to do anything? How do I force my government to take action? Petitions don't work. Voting has turned into a zero-sum game. What should we do? This is a very valid question because when something like this happens and unknown people are named in the FIR, you feel this sudden lack of accountability for your service providers.
Absolutely. I think there are three things that can be done and need to happen. First of all, we need an elected BBMP. Citizens need to put pressure through media, through social media, and demand it of their elected representatives. Every citizen has a right to walk into their MLA's office. It is the state government that schedules these elections. So you can, if you get signatures from the people in your street, in your apartment, you can walk in there and give a petition that says, I demand BBMP elections as soon as possible, immediately. So first of all, we do need an elected BBMP because we need someone we can go to and make accountable, although, we may not get the perfect councillors. Like right now, because of all the winds, we've had so many fallen trees. Even those are not clear and they pose a danger. This drain cleaning is not done. If the drain in my street is flooded, I'm much more likely to act on it. I don't know what's going on in KR Circle. So that is why local, representation needs to be there. The second thing is we have ward committees. Some of us, including Citizens for Bengaluru, have fought very hard to get ward committees implemented in Bangalore, which is a group of 20 citizens, including men, women, RWA, slum representatives, who sit on the ward committee, work with the councillor. It is this very ward committee that can, work with the councillor to make sure the drains are clean, work with the administration as well to make sure the drains are cleaned, audits are done, and so forth. Third is, now that the state government has taken charge, it needs to make sure there is an audit of the state of Bengaluru. We don't have an audit, an assessment that says what is the safety, what is the number of, say, PHCs per person that we need to have, that we have, number of Anganwadis per person that we need to have, that we have, how many homes have piped water supply. If you look at the if you look at the slum improvement board website of the state government, slums in Bangalore come under the slum development board. They cite 500 to 800 slums. Satellite imaging shows you, study after study, private study tells you there are more than 2,500 slums in Bangalore. So there's a huge disconnect as far as just the data is concerned, just as the professor has said. And we can enlist people, ward committees, to do audits of their own area. Are the drains clean? Are the underpasses safe? How much rainfall can they take? Work with the BBMP personnel. BBMP is only 50% staffed. Commissioner after commissioner has said that half of BBMP is vacant, half the vacancies are not filled, and the vacancies can only be filled with state government approval. BBMP doesn't have the right to fill its own vacancies. So I think we need to make sure that audit and a state of the city is undertaken. How many buses do we have? How much congestion? Where are the congestion points? Where are the safety and unsafe points of the city? Then comes the planning, as Sir says. Now that we have an elected government, and you can create a metropolitan planning committee, which is constitutionally mandated, and an MPC needs to plan the city. But even temporarily, at the minimum, to assess safety, audits need to be done, safety needs to be assessed, and at the minimum, the drains need to be cleaned to prepare for the upcoming monsoon, or we are going to see more flooding and unfortunately more incidents, if you will.
Dr. T.V. Ramachandran, in your opinion, are the citizens of Bangalore currently safe?
Well, we are not safe. In fact, we are not sure our children will come back home. The same thing happens with us also when we move out. Every time when we move out, especially when it is going to rain, the people are worried. In fact, I've been advised not to go out in the after 3 o'clock in the city. That's what my family always advises me. In fact, that's where I insist for the online meeting than going to the any other the place for the meeting. That is where one of the thing we need to do on priority is we need to make sure that clogging of the drains are removed immediately. We should be ruthless. Whoever has encroached, we should just remove them. However powerful they are, we should remove them. And we should make sure this waste mafia do not dump the waste in the drain. That plastic and other construction and demolition waste are being dumped in the waste. And the third thing is that when we give for the management of the waste in the city, because the waste mismanagement is linked to the flooding, we should have had the waste authority. It should have been an independent body, not the any political interference should be there. At the same time, we should also make sure our legislators, elected MLAs, do only legislation. They should not get into executive mechanism. The MLA becoming a, handling the waste in the thing is a ridiculous thing. It cannot happen in any country. This is a conflict of interest. This is what even Santosh Hegde has been talking about it. Why are we not taking action on that? Why MLS should also, with a proxy name, they become the waste managers in the ward, and they handle the Paura Karmikas. I have seen some of the MLS even abusing the Paura Karmikas and all those things. We should put an end to that. That is where we should take advantage of the automation. We should digitize the system and make the citizen also say in the whole system. If some drain is getting blocked, the citizen can take a photograph and share it with the administration. There should be a kind of transparent mechanism. We need to have a data portal and make the data available to the public. At the same time, the decision making body also should take the data and use that for proper solution of the problem. Otherwise, this continues to happen. I'm sure the next month at the same day, nobody remembers about the Banupriya. They'll be thinking about others. That's the public memory is too short. But we need to put an end to this, unfortunate death of the youth. Youth are the assets of the nation. Any youth, unfortunately, are getting killed in this kind of instance because the youth are the one who move out and they are exposed to this kind of vulnerable situation. We need to make sure that they do not face this kind of crisis. That is where we make the city livable and safe for everyone, the children and the women in the society.
Tara Krishnaswamy, this is not, like you pointed out, the first incident. We've had other incidents of pillars, metro pillars falling on people and claiming lives, people falling in potholes and claiming lives. There is losing their lives. There is a constant disregard for the value of human life in the city of Bengaluru by the people who run that city. Should there be criminal accountability under the
There
IPC?
absolutely should be. Yeah, there absolutely should be. Like you said, from metro pillars to pothole deaths, we have had numerous cases, and we will continue to have numerous cases. Bangalore has one of the highest pedestrian deaths, for example, in the country. Just crossing the road is extremely unsafe in Bangalore. And as Sir said, I know a lot of senior citizens and children are forbidden to go out on rainy days after a certain time because of the lack of safety, not because they're going to get wet or stuck in the rain. It is because it's patently, it's a threat to life issue, right? And it's very difficult to answer the question, is the city safe? Because on the one hand, you hear of this egregious civic apathy. On the other hand, we don't have proper data. How many of our flyovers are safe? How much of the metro construction safety norms? They haven't been audited either. That is how the pillar fell, is because for a week that regular audit hadn't happened. The pillar had been shaking and nobody noticed, right? The people passers-by said that. There's so much of this audit that isn't happening. It is very easy, again, to enlist ward committees to produce a monthly audit of just their area, because it is just walking the streets that you normally walk. You anyway walk to get your groceries, to drop your children, to fetch them back. It's easy to see which street light is not working, which bus stop is, has a public urination problem. It is easy to conduct that audit. And what we need is that dashboard with a regular audit so that we can demand that the officials take action. Today, you don't even know. You get ad hoc requests, right? But you don't even know which areas, for example, particularly lax. So there should be criminal accountability, and we will know that if citizens conduct an audit. Well, that is one of the simplest things that we can do. It doesn't take extra manpower from the BBMP. Citizens can do that audit, and we are incentivized to keep our localities safe. And then absolutely there needs to be criminal accountability. We need to know, we need to have the name of not the MLA, local MLA. Every street bears the name of the local MLA and the local councillor. That's all nice. But we want to have the name of the chief engineer who built the flyover, who built that, who oversaw that metro pillar, who is responsible for the audit. So we know who failed, right?
And Bangalore also has a terrible track record with footpaths. The footpaths are encroached upon, they are not even, they're dangerous to walk on for senior citizens, for children, for anybody. The roads are not safe. You talked about crossing the road, but actually just walking down the footpath is a terrible, risk in the city of Bangalore at this point. The government just needs to be more responsible, and we are hoping that this will happen. Tara Krishnaswamy and Dr. T.V. Ramachandra, thank you so much for joining us and having this conversation with us this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Faye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
To our audience, we'll continue to turn a spotlight